The stability stage. And it may not be all rainbows and roses, but we'll get into that a little later. This is a continuation of the 5 stages to a relationship. And we just did stage 2, which was the power struggle phase. And it was a doozy. You can check it out here. Reason why a lot of people like to focus on the power struggle is because it's where majority of the divorces, separations occur. But stability stage is where we're talking about today. Before we go into that, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Got my doctorate, got my master's. I taught at multiple universities, big universities. I have done multiple businesses. I have done real estate and all those other things. So basically, I'm a super nerd, and I've been in a lot of areas where I didn't know anything, where I delved deep. And this information could be beneficial for you. And if you have any questions, please, or anything you have any ideas of what you want to learn, please put in the comments, and then I'll be able to go into from there. We have relationships, single dad, person parenting, depending on where you're at, personal growth, and also attachment theory. And so I'm really excited to talk about this. But first, we're gonna go into a video that I did before, kind of giving you the broad explanation of it, and then we'll go into the stability phase. Let's go. So let's talk about the 5 stages to a relationship, all right? You have romance stage and the honeymoon stage. You have the power struggle phase or the love hangover. You have the stability stage, commitment stage, and then you have, lastly, the bliss or co-creation stage. Now, in the romance and the honeymoon stage is when nothing that person could do is wrong. They're amazing and they're positive, but also it's problematic because you're not really being open fully because you want things to work. While the power struggle phase is really when the problem happens and you start to see the flaws and you start to really, can I be with this person? And majority of the breakups happen in that power struggle phase. And then you have the stability phase. That's when you get a little deeper and you start to try, you know what? I respect the person you are. I'm not gonna change you. We're gonna grow individually and we're gonna find ways to grow individually together without crossing each other's boundaries in a creative way. And just that's when things get deeper and more traveling, more doing things together, like learning together. This is when the stage that happens for that. And then you have the commitment stages when you start to realize, okay, we're flawed individuals, we're human, so relationships are gonna have problems. And you start to realize because that relationship's gonna have problems, you can find ways to be creative and find solutions. But at the end of the day, it's when you make the concerted effort that I choose to be with this person and I will do what it takes to be with that person. That's what the commitment stage really is. And then you have co-creation and bliss. This is when you have the babies, you have like starting businesses. You get to a point where a lot of the problems that will arise in most business partnerships or parenting, you've learned how to get yourself down packed and how to handle relationships together on your own. And now you'll be able to add another uncertainty figure because the 2 people that are involved are more certain. So these are the 5 stages and we're gonna go through each one of them. Let's jump into them. The stability stage. Now you just overcome the power struggle, which now you're trying to fight back and forth and who has control and who has the power. To stability stage is not now, okay, I understand that you're a flawed individual and I'm okay with those flaws. Let's see with who you are right now, can we figure out a solution that both sides can be okay with? And that's really what's going on. But you have 2 major phases in this. I like to call it the adjustment phase and then stability phase. Now, the adjustment phase is really trying to help you have deeper understanding and connection, but also is called the crisis stage, or crisis substage, I guess, right? And so you instead of fighting each other, you're trying to fight and see if you can make the relationship work. And so you have to get deeper in understanding when crisis or problems occur, how are we going to keep us afloat? How are we going to balance this situation, right? And if you have enough time showing that balance, then it helps understand in the future when things you have no idea are going to come, we can make things stable, right? But also makes you understand, like, do I really want to go through the work? Because I mean, it takes us so long to get the stability and it takes us to break up and do all this other stuff. And is that really conducive to what you want to have down the road? And so that's also a situation with in the adjustment phase where you realize, maybe this might not be the right person for me. But think about it like a tree. Your tree, it actually builds roots down. And when the more roots you have, or the more connection and deep understanding you have, what happens is now when the crisis comes, it's less likely to suck that tree away. And that's what you're trying to do. You try to really just fortify that understanding. And that moves it into the true stability. Now, The true stability is when you get to a point to understand, okay, we can make this work. It gives you a nice little peace because now you understand it doesn't matter what comes our way, we can handle it, which is a very peace-giving thing. But what happens is also people might lose connection. Sometimes people use these chaos to build connections, but you got to find healthy ways also to make sure you can keep that flame alive. Like, and the one thing you have to realize that in life, nothing is constant except change. And once you realize that and you have those fortified roots put in place and the belief that you become stable, change has not as much as a factor. But it's really a time that it's going to be in the true stability or stability stage in general. It's a time where you have a deeper, more fulfilling and stable romantic stage that you've had with a more high romantic stage in the honeymoon stage. But what are some tips or things you need to do to really stay in this stability phase, but also help push you to move into the next and more fruitful stages down the road? So what can we do in the stability stage to truly help maintain and also push us to the later stages in the 5 relationship stages? And the first thing is communication. I mean, I know y'all probably sick and tired of me talking about communication. I have a whole series on it. Please check it out if you can. But it really just by creating a safe space to let the person feel comfortable enough to be honest about what's going on, it's better to learn something harsh now and then have resentment build in and then an explosion in a relationship down the road. So there's a great video called The 9 Communication Killers, which is phenomenal. It really will help out a lot. And experts say that communication is needed to help people express what they need emotionally and actually sexually within a relationship. Number 2, keep it fresh. Funky, fresh. All right. So you want to keep it fresh. And because what happens in the stability stage, when you get the true stability stage, it's kind of like you're coasting for the most part. But what can happen is it can make the relationship stale. It can actually reduce a lot of the communication, emotion, intimacy, and physical intimacy, and really derail the relationship. It can also bring people back into the power struggle. So doing something new and do something that you can build some type of connection and deeper in the connection will be phenomenal. Boundaries. What happens a lot of times in stability phase also, people kind of revert back to like what's in the honeymoon stage where there's like no boundaries, right? No, boundaries are still important. Boundaries keep us from building resentment. So understanding what both sides' boundaries are, that can be very beneficial. So sorry guys, that's some of my throat, but I'm not stopping. But when you have boundaries, both sides understand yourself and you know your partner's boundaries. Now, when problems occur, you can start to come up with solutions that will respect each other's boundaries a lot faster because you understand them and you also understand your own. And then lastly is going to be mutual respect. People don't realize how respect is going to be huge. It's like, Josh, right? If you make it to a stability phase, you have to have respect. But communication is huge because you need communication to build trust. And without trust, you can't have respect. I have a video up here. I think it's called like something about how to maintain intimacy in relationships. You can check it out here. But really, only reason I'm saying this, it has a good thing about communication, trust. Communication, understanding, trust around honesty really produces love. And so understanding how you can continue having quote unquote love or that trust and also respect will help maintain the integrity of that stability and help keep it afloat. But the final thoughts, guys. So final thoughts, understanding the stability stage is not about being completely stable. It's learning how to become stable and then maintaining that stableness as much as possible whenever a crisis occurs. And so understanding that component can be huge because once things in the future come with the commitment and the co-creation and bliss stage, it doesn't matter what problems will occur because you start to realize that we can overcome it. So please like and subscribe to this video. Again, this is a stage 3, part 3 of 5 stages of a relationship. I love hearing comments. I love getting any type of perspective so I can get better, but also what things could be beneficial for you guys to talk about down the road. So until next time, I look forward to seeing you in future videos.